today's video, we are going to talk about how Ariel Helwani is glazing Conor McGregor and how he's trying to make Conor McGregor so comfortable that Conor McGregor will leave the UFC. And I'm not literally, I just saw that interview, and after that interview, how Ariel Helwani glazed Conor McGregor, I am so sad, and I feel like Conor McGregor can leave UFC now. The reason why I say this, because I have seen this many times where someone has left the UFC and they had an interview with Ariel Hawani, and Ariel Hawani glazed them so much like, you deserve so better, like you are earning so less in the UFC, so let's just move on and just have your boxing matches. Like he did the same thing with Francis Ngannou without even considering like this can be just for one thing. And he always considers about the fighters, the wrestlers or the boxers. He doesn't even consider that about the UFC fans, like why we don't want any martial artist to go into the world of boxing. We really don't. We want them to stay in their respective sports and fight. He really don't even want competitive fights, because if you're wanting this, True Jordy also did this thing. They were trying to glaze these retired martial artists or the people who are unhappy with the UFC. They are trying to glaze them, and they are trying to make them leave UFC. The reason is simple, is because they get clout out of this. They get their interviews, they get their moments where they will get more clicks, and just making money out of UFC, where UFC is responsible for this man's entire career. Mixed martial arts reporting was never a thing. This man made a career out of UFC, and now this man is just trying to make fighters leave the UFC. The thing is, like, whenever you are trying to do something new and someone just, and you're confused, like, if I leave the UFC, then what will happen with my financial career? Some people, some wrestlers, some martial artists, I should say, are afraid to do that. Like Francis Ngannou initially was hesitant, but as soon as they hear someone glazing them, like, no, whatever you're doing is right, when the people do that, then you have the confidence. Then you feel like, okay, maybe what I'm doing is the right thing. Because if someone is knowing this much in the field of martial arts and they are not against this decision, then I think it gives you a certain level of confidence. Because when you are starting something new and someone says you deserve better, this is not, you can do this, when then this form of glazing can lead you to have higher confidence and can lead you to leave to do the new thing, because you are not confident enough in yourself. So you're asking someone, and someone is saying that you can do this thing. What happened is that Conor McGregor was promoting his movie in Ariel Hawani show. Basically, he wasn't even ready to talk about his fights, even though it's a mixed martial arts podcast. But he was trying to please. But what I saw, Ariel Hawani was doing his thing, where he was like, "You deserve better. You made UFC so rich, so you deserve better, and you can leave the UFC and you can have this boxing match." The theme of the interview was like that, because Conor McGregor, although he deserves more money, I mean, he is a billionaire literally, so maybe not. But I think the reason why I really hate this thing is that now this will make Conor McGregor even more irrelevant, because now he will have a boxing fight or something like that. Even though he will fight out his two fights in the UFC, he has two more fights left. I want him to fight I want him to fight Chandler, and then I want him to fight someone else, and then he will leave the UFC and he will become irrelevant. He can have boxing matches as long as he want, but he will stay irrelevant in terms of pure mixed martial arts fan. We were fan of Conor McGregor because he was someone who has the potential to become triple champ. Although he was the first double champ, he could have become triple champ simultaneously, because of 145, 155 and 170 are not so much distinct when you are a tall lanky person in 145 division. So I really thought that Conor McGregor could have done that, and he has a win in 170 pounds. So I really thought that Conor McGregor can become someone like that, especially coming off this injury. He is someone who is heavy and he can do that. But the way that Il Hawani and all these other mixed martial arts enthusiasts or reporters or anyone else are glazing him, I don't think Conor McGregor will stay in the UFC after these two fights, after his contract with the UFC is over. And this is not something that like we should just let it happen, because if Ariel Helwani is doing this with Conor McGregor, he can do this with anyone. And every famous fighter wants to get paid more. Every famous person wants to get paid more. Even though I don't know what he's going to do with all that money, but who am I to say? Because that's his career. But they will have more money in the boxing, we know that, and they will get knocked out in boxing. So it's just like becoming like a humiliation thing for us, because all these martial artists go to boxing and they are defeated in the boxing. Like what happened with Francis Ngannou and all the people that are glazing him. I think really they should be ashamed of yourself. El Hawani, you should be ashamed of yourself. What you are doing is absolutely disgraceful. And as a pure mixed martial arts fan, you are trying to make every mixed martial artist leave the UFC, and trying to, just because you hate Dana White now, just because you're not on good terms with him, although he is responsible for your entire career, for your entire livelihood, I must say, you should always be ashamed of yourself. You are just trying to promote those fights, those super boxing fights, because you have commentary over there. You should be ashamed of yourself. And I should really, as we mixed martial artist fan, should always say the stop glazing and stop saying, stop promoting these irrelevant incompetitive fights. That's all I'm about to say. And I've made a Patreon where you can talk, where you can donate to me, where like I will keep, when I will be able to like keep making these videos. Because like in YouTube, they just the thing where you need to have thousands of subscribers in order to get monetized. So I made a link to my Patreon where you can donate. And that's what we do in this channel. We talk about martial arts, we talk about football, and we talk about everything that I like in general. That's it. Thank you.